Okay, I did a new moon reading for myself, just for some things I wanted some clarity on. Okay, so here's the tarot cards. I had them set up how I usually do in a 9-card rectangle with 2 bordering moraines and then a crowner, but I was called to rearrange it like this. So I don't know why, but this is how it all fits together. So Emperor, 8 of coins, or pentacles in this case, Judgment, Hierophant. Don't go blurry on me, come on. Okay. Then we have the Wheel, from left to right, the Wheel, the High Priestess, and then the World. Okay. The cherubim there. The 2 towers. Okay. That was... Go back and watch... It's very important to watch the Gemini Akash Ether reading, because it's specific to the energies right now, and it relates to this reading too. So, and then there's the Sun, the 3 of Wands, and the Ace of Wands. And then 9 of Swords, Knave of Cups, Knight of Swords. I said 9, right? 9 of Swords, Knave of Cups, Knave of Chalices, Knight of Swords, 9 of Pentacles, 8 of Swords. Okay. Sorry, I hope I'm not making anybody dizzy, but I just want everyone to see this clearly, all in its excuse me, entirety. So, and then here's the oracle cards. As I was shuffling, as soon as I got to a point of my clear intention, which was just allowing for God to give me the clarity on a couple of things that I had been wanting to connect the dots about. So there's turquoise. Okay, I'm not really going to focus on the chakras or anything, but just the gems themselves. Okay, and there's sodalite. And that's 22 in Capricorn, and that's me right now. So that's not that I want to focus on that, but it's where I am right now. And so if I'm there, then there's got to be some other people that are there that can relate to that, or that will just give other people hope that that's where they're going to end up. Okay, so here's black tourmaline. Okay, and these are, did I see 2 indigo? Yeah, but anyway, then there's garnet. And then red tiger's eye. Okay. And we're not getting religious, we're getting with God here. So there's I think I mentioned about the ant medicine in maybe one of the zodiac sign readings for June. I'm not sure. Or I could have just been talking to myself. A lot of times I'm talking out loud, and I can't remember if I recorded that session or not. So I'll have to talk about that. So that's good. All right. Okay. So this natural progression right here from the black tourmaline, this is the releasing of the blocks, protecting yourself from the, and these things all have to be happening, you know, simultaneously, okay, in conjunction with all these happening all at once. Okay, so black tourmaline, you're illuminating each and every nook and cranny inside you, clearing out all the cobwebs, illuminating everything in the interior, okay? Interior, the kriya, the inner, spiritual housekeeping, okay? But while you're doing that, you have to make sure that the door is locked, okay? Because you're getting in the attic, nooks and crannies, someone can sneak in downstairs, you wouldn't even know it. So you got to make sure everything's protected, negative energy is blocked while you're clearing your blocks, your blokras, okay? And then also, by doing those things, a lot of pain may come up, like literal physical pain, okay, physiological symptoms. So the black tourmaline helps the dense, slow grinding pain body to it helps to relieve that physical pain. And by blocking the negativity and doing the illuminating and clearing, you help ease that physical pain as well. See, so how those three elements all have to be happening at the same time. Then naturally you progress to the garnet, okay? So black tourmaline. Now we have garnet. The black tourmaline is like the micro inner, okay? The garnet is the interim between the micro and the macro. And then the red tiger's eye is the macro. Once you get to this level of earning your stripes, you have the garnet interim where you're and I already went through this, and this is why I came up, so I can share this with you guys and show you where I am right here now. Because some of you might be there, and then you're like, okay, yes, this is, keep going, you're on the right path. And just to reassure others who aren't there yet, who are still here or in one of these stages here, that this is what's coming for you, okay? So keep on doing what you're doing. Garnet, this is when you're seeing things clearly now, okay? Yourself, all of, everything, the unificate, you're seeing how everything's connected, okay? Interwoven, okay? And this helps to ward off depression, this card, garnet, okay? And garnet's also my birthstone. January, and Capricorn, I believe it's garnet. This can be associated with depression. So garnet can really help you with depression, okay? And the red, see how it goes from black to red, and then it goes to red stripes? So it's like you're still the rich, dense, nutrient-rich person you were, but now it's like you feel the bloodline, all right? You feel connected to all that is. Excuse me, I need to grab something. Okay. Just a little bit of organics, I guess that's Safeway brand, yeah. Unfiltered apple juice, it's good stuff. Okay, my throat is really dry from talking to myself all day, and anyway. Okay, so then when you have the red tiger's eye come in, now you've battled the depression, and not battled, but you've just, through the work that you did with the black tourmaline, now you're at a place where you've done all the clearing. Now you can kind of like do some releasing and purging and purifying. Cry, people who have autoimmune diseases, they have stress flares, they have a flare, and so if there's others like me that are suffering with those symptoms, look at what's happening, okay? Whenever I get a flare, there's something I'm not dealing with. There is a connection, okay? Mind, body, spirit. It's connected, people, okay? So then, once you've done that, one of the key things, I was pulled, these I know pretty well because they come up a lot for me. And this has come up a few times, but there was one aspect that I was like, what is, there's a facet maybe that's subtle that is actually very important to complete the whole dodecahedron of the red tiger's eye. Okay, so a dodecahedron is made up of hexagons, okay, facets. Each facet is a hexagon. So this single facet that was so important for this dodecahedron of the red tiger's eye. That single facet was triggers, okay? You've done so much work, you don't want to backpedal, you don't want to regress, okay? You don't want to go back to doing the hard work. Now, you have to keep the path beaten down. You don't want to keep getting your spiritual machete out, clearing the path. You can't even, at the beginning, you may not even be able to see the path. You're like, there's a effing path there? Where? You're lying, okay? I don't believe you. This is why religion and all this stuff, it's been so murkied, okay? But just because people are religious, I mean, there are good, thank God that at the hands-on level, it's still people, okay? And just because you're a high CEO doesn't mean you're evil either, okay? There's people, we just have to not be fear-based. And that's what triggers are, okay? They bring your fears back up to make sure, you know, the Hierophant's going to ask you, what have you learned so far? Danielson, Grasshopper, what have you learned? Okay, we've been working together for how long now? And you're now going to be questioned by your teacher, by your creator, okay? What have you learned? And you're going to have to know the answer to that question. And it's not going to be so easy yes or no. It's open-ended. What have you learned? And you're just going to have to know, okay? That's the knowing. It's having an open-ended question like that and having confidence in the answer. Once you've done all this work, don't let those, when those triggers come up, it's like when you're on your path, if you keep on it every day and keep it beaten down so it's clear, and you keep moving, you keep that path beaten down, you keep walking that path every day, you're going to see any little blackberry vines that come spiraling out or whatever. You don't want to snag that on your royal gown. So you make sure any little bit that starts to creep into your path, you trim it off immediately, or else it's going to snag your royal gown, and you want to be looking good for God, okay? You've earned your stripes. This is like garnet incarnate. I don't know what garnet incarnate. Anyway, you've earned your stripes. Don't let those triggers make you backslide. Keep those little blackberry little things trimmed when they're tiny little, you know, because they're going to get bigger and turn into big thorns. Keep that path pounded down, right? So you can see it perfectly clear. You are sure-footed, okay? Oh, and those three, while I was shuffling, they all fell on the floor together in a cluster. So this was at the bottom of the deck. This was a special message for me and others that are at the same level on their path. They're vibrating extremely high. You may be having trouble sleeping. Perhaps you know you need to eat because you're kind of running on empty, but nothing's really, and you're getting, stuff is coming in, okay? Stuff is coming in and you are vibrating very high. You might even be sweating a lot, talking to yourself a lot. You might think you're a little crazy, but you're perfectly balanced because the turquoise represents the perfect balance of divine feminine and divine masculine. It also represents any balance of any interaction, your inner community, between you and your environment, between the macro, the micro, masculine, feminine, all of it balanced, harmonized, and complete. Full circle. It also represents psycho-emotional unity, the balance between your mind and your body and your spirit and your mind. So, and as far as the tarot, this wheel of karma, it's called the samsara, okay? And we need our mukti or our moksha, however you want to say it. That's our liberation. That's our liberation from this karmic wheel. But we got to do the work, people. And it's hard. And we got to be there for each other because We're all in this together. The web. Okay? Something lands in the spider web way over here. You can feel that vibration. That spider got those tiny little hairs all over its arm. It is so sensitive. Spidey sense, okay? For a reason. The spider, the web, the storyteller. That's where all the truth is. The sacred geometry of how everything's connected. If something lands in the web over here, you feel it over here. Everything is connected. Everything is affected. So, with this cluster, these four, we have the Judgment, the Hierophant, the Emperor, and the Eight of Pentacles. So what that's saying, and let me just show you again, sorry. Don't want to make anybody nauseous. These four right here. What it's saying is that when the trumpet calls, that judgment day, when that trumpet calls, you better have an answer when the Hierophant asks you what you've learned so far. You better do the work. Eight of Pentacles, you better do the work. God gave you all the tools inside you. Okay? Even if you have to spiritually draft someone, seek it outside you. He gave you the tools to seek it. Okay? To raise your vibration to the elevation of the Emperor. The Emperor is the most elevated of the elevated. Okay? And the four, the angel, I mean, this is showing me how close an emperor is. When you're the king of your domain, the king of kings, the next level is going to be eternal paradise with your creator, okay? When that trumpet calls, you better know the answer to the question of who you are and what you've learned so far. Have you learned the lessons? Because you're going to be asked. We got to get off this wheel by listening to our intuition, and our intuition is the thing that's connected with all that is. The God grain flow. Okay? Go with the flow of the God grain, because if you go against it, you're going to self-sacrifice. Because when that trumpet calls, it's going to be a divide, a division. And you're going to have to know where you stand. And in order to know that, you have to know who you are. In order to know who you are, you need to know God, and you need to know what God is, and God is love and light. You can look it up in the book of John. And because of that, I was looking for the book of John, because I wanted to talk about that, and I came across the first epistle. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. I've never read the Bible. Go back and watch the Gemini Akashi Ether reading. Okay. You will see that, or hear, both see or hear the story about how I got my Bible. Okay, so anyway, just wanted to show you the bottom row here. So in the first epistle of John, and how that relates to a dream I had. Okay. So, okay, listen to your intuition. You want to be with your Maker. You want to, you are protected. You are divinely guided. You are created in God's image, which is love. Okay? So we have to do the work to get off this karmic wheel. You need to listen to your intuition in order to know what to do in order to do that. Because it's coming to an end. And what I mean coming to an end, I mean all this pain and suffering coming to an end. Okay? And that is what that is right there. That Three of Wands I'm reading is waiting on God. And this is the paradise of eternity. Okay? The Ace of Wands is fire in its inception, pure electricity, okay? Before it's burned up anything. Before it's been affected by the world. The Nine of Swords, okay? She's like, she wants this, this Knave of Wands is so appealing, right? And it seems so innocent, right? Some of the stuff that we desire. It seems so innocent, doesn't it? Just watching TV or something. It's harmless. We need to awaken, people, okay? Because cutting out of this worldliness, okay? See how they're just like fancy schmancy dresses and stuff? We're going to have to abandon that worldliness, and we better do it fast, okay? And stop desiring to fulfill the desires of the flesh, because we realize, especially older people, when they've been doing that so long, that it's not fulfilling. And you've gone through all that struggle, and where did it get you? Feeling very alone. God never, never, never would do that to you. God would never abandon you. He is loving and protecting, and I hate that pronoun, he. God, Akata, your creator, is loving and protecting you perfectly always. Okay? So, I'm just going to talk now about this dream really quick. I might have to make 2 parts to this, because this is an important message. Oh God, that's another one. Okay. So, this ant problem I've been having, we sprayed, and oh God, I know, with my autoimmune disease and with everything, I hate, but you know, it's like they were getting a little bit out of hand, and like they were in my son's hair. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll go look up ant medicine if you guys please leave me alone. Okay, we had a conversation, but guess what? I forgot to look up ant medicine. So they came back again, and then guess what? Knock at the door today. And I remember I said in the Akash reading, I pulled a verse from the Bible, but it seemed not significant because it just talked about witness, okay? And this was from 2 beautiful people, Sharon and Anthony, a nice older woman, and a young, beautiful Melanite man, I should say. And yes, he was right. If you want a man of God, he can come knocking on your door, okay? So let's stick to this. I'm celibate, but you know, I appreciate the you know, the presence of a man's energy. I appreciate it. Okay, so anyway, they're talking about in this pamphlet, okay, and this is breaking the language barrier, okay, dissolving. Look at all the, I don't know if you can see, it says awake on here in like, I think, did he say 750,000 languages, or I can't even remember. Like, okay, awake, awaken, breaking the language barrier. The only language that is universal besides universal sign language is the language of love, and it can be expressed through music and other non-audible ways, but music, as far as an audible expression of language, that's the only one that I know of. Unless you're talking about the sound of the breath of God that brought everything into creation. But that'll be another video. Okay, so ant medicine. Okay, hello. So I was like, before I call the guys to come out and do it again, I'm going to look up ant medicine. I didn't even have to. It was brought to my door. Let me read this. One line just says it all. Okay, and it's about Ohio State University. It's in the United States. They did a reverse engine. Okay, so they did. They wanted to study how an ant can carry such a heavy load. So I don't want to go into the scientific, but basically, because I don't want to bore anybody, what they got was this: a critical part of the ant's anatomy is in its neck, and ants have like a little beak, like a bird. Okay, that's why it hurts so much when they bite you. Oh my God, that's okay. That's why I had to call the exterminator, because they were like, you know, it bit me on the eyebrow. But it's like, you know, Chief Goldenlight Eagle said, hey, We need to change our perspective. He got stung on the eye by a wasp, and he said, "Thank you." There was a message there. So people, we need to look at things differently. A critical part of the ant's anatomy is its neck, which has to bear the full weight of loads grasped in its mouth. And remember, our head is on our shoulders. We are responsible for ourselves. Our head is on our shoulders, not somebody else's shoulders. Their head isn't on our shoulder. Our head is on our shoulders. That's what I just got. Okay, so soft tissues within the ant's neck bind with the stiff exoskeleton of its thorax and head in a manner that mimics the interlocking of fingers in folded hands. The design and structure of this interface is critical for the performance of the neck joint. Okay? And they just leave you with this question to ponder. Did the ant's neck, with its complex and highly integrated mechanical systems, evolve, or was it designed? Do you think that was by accident? Do you think you're an accident? God doesn't do things by accident. There are no mistakes, okay? Look at this. The interlocking of your fingers. What is that? That's the power of prayer. That's how you can carry such a heavy load. Because the power of prayer is in the interlocking of everything being connected and unified. That power of prayer, that love of God, is the strength to get you through it all. So, okay, first epistle of the Bible. I'm trying to move along so we can get this all in here, and I hope I don't. And I haven't even read through this, and what did it say? I just flipped to the back before I started doing this video. This is also from the Jehovah's Witness. I got when I was walking through the bus station. There were a couple beautiful girls down there. Had some information and some pamphlets, and I got this cool book for my son to learn about God. The world is passing away. That's what the Bible tells us, okay? But then the Bible explains how we can live forever in God's new world. It says, "He that does the will of God remains forever." John 2:17. Now I'm not sure what version they're referring to. I have the King James version. That's the one that I recommend because it's just the original Bible before all different translations, or interpretations. So how can we live forever in God's new world? Yes, by taking in knowledge of Jehovah and his dear son Jesus. But we also have to do or practice what we learn. So we have to learn it, okay, and then we have to practice it. That's how we know it. So when we get questioned, what have you learned? We can answer without any doubt, without any hesitation, without any murkiness, with full throttle faith. This dream I had, because I don't eat meat, and I'm like, I don't understand if this is natural. Okay, the food chain, I'm like, other animals eat meat though, so what's the right way? And I know I had a dream once where I had this beautiful piece of salmon. I went to go take a bite and I resisted. So I don't think Jesus even ate fish, but I don't think if he would let something die in vain and just throw away the flesh of an animal, but he would transmute that and give the animal its due respect. This is just intuitively what I think. So I had this dream. I had this dream of an emaciated mountain lion. And it was kind of like a city street, you know, like kind of Northern California, like where I live. There's trees and stuff, tons of trees everywhere, but like a regular neighborhood street, intersection, whatever. And it was crossing the street and it looked directly at me, and it was emaciated and kind of dirty and scraggly, and the look in its eyes was one of confusion. Okay? And I interpreted that, as a, people who are clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, sometimes things, it trickles in, or it comes in